While I slept, he cleared out our entire home, all because of one drunken lapse at an office party. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. If you've ever had a single mistake snowball into the loss of everything that mattered to you, then this story will strike a familiar chord. I'm Natalie, 29 years old, and not long ago, I believed I was living the life I'd always dreamed of. I was married to Lucas, 31, and for 2 years, we were building something meaningful, a loving home, a future full of hope, and what we thought were unbreakable dreams. But it all unraveled in a way I never imagined. From the moment I woke up that morning, something felt wrong. The house, once filled with love and laughter, was eerily bare. Furniture, appliances, even our framed photos gone. At first, I thought we'd been robbed, but the doors were still locked, and nothing was in disarray. That's when I spotted the note on the kitchen counter. Lucas's handwriting unmistakable. Happy New Year, Natalie. May your fresh start treat you better than I did. I dropped into the nearest chair, heart pounding, trying to understand what I was looking at. The man who had stood beside me through the darkest times had simply disappeared. No warning, no goodbye. Let me take you back to the beginning. 3 years ago, I had just begun an internship at a mid-sized consulting firm where I first met Lucas. He was a project supervisor, sharp, well-regarded, and quietly confident in that magnetic way. I initially tried to keep things strictly professional, but you can't suppress chemistry for long. After collaborating on a few projects, we started dating. 8 whirlwind months later, we were engaged. He proposed during a snowy weekend in the mountains. Just us and a love that felt infinite. After we married, life moved fast. Lucas received a job offer from a rival firm that nearly doubled his salary. He accepted. We upgraded to a larger house in the suburbs and began mapping out our future. Children, travel, renovations. My own career was on the rise, too. I eventually got promoted to a more demanding position, which brought pressure I hadn't expected. I started bringing work home, staying up late, and leaning on alcohol to decompress. What started as a nightly glass of wine turned into finishing the bottle. Lucas noticed. He addressed it gently at first, then with more concern. I dismissed him, claiming I had it under control. I didn't. It spiraled until one night I completely blacked out. That was my wake-up call. I checked into a rehab program and took 6 months off work. It was the toughest journey I'd ever faced. Lucas stayed by my side the whole time, never once threatening to walk away. That's the kind of man he was. When I returned to work, I was placed under a new manager, Ethan Carter. Mid-40s, youthful energy, and a magnetic charm. Lucas didn't take to him. Said he was manipulative and urged me to keep my guard up. I brushed it off as jealousy. Ethan appeared to be a capable and engaging leader. When a colleague went on maternity leave, I found myself working even longer hours with him. I was often the last one in the office. We exchanged late-night emails and texts to keep things on track. Lucas noticed. He pointed out how I was glued to my phone, always messaging Ethan. I reassured him, told him it was strictly professional. He wasn't convinced. One evening after an argument, I told Lucas he needed to trust me or back off. Looking back, that's when an emotional rift began. Not long after, Ethan started sharing personal details from his own life. One night, after everyone else had left, he brought me coffee and asked how I was holding up. I broke down. I confessed how strained things had become with Lucas, the guilt I carried, and the burden of pretending everything was fine. He listened silently. Then, I made a terrible mistake. In a moment of raw emotion, I hugged him, and then I kissed him. It wasn't romantic. It was confused, messy, and something I regretted instantly. We pulled away quickly. I saw the same shame in his eyes that I felt. We agreed to keep our distance and act like it hadn't happened. But pretending doesn't undo the damage. Whispers started circulating at work. People noticed the way we interacted. The closeness, the laughter, the body language. It all made its way back to Lucas. One evening, he confronted me, demanding the truth. I lied, told him it was all workplace gossip. I didn't mention the kiss. I thought if I just buried it deep enough, I could fix things and move on. By December, I was desperate to make amends. I cooked his favorite meal, organized a quiet evening at home, and promised to change teams once the project was over. Lucas seemed to ease up. We agreed to hit reset in the new year. Then came the company's New Year's Eve party. Ethan suggested Lucas join us. Maybe it would help him feel more included. I agreed. Maybe this would put all doubts to rest. That night, the drinks were flowing. I hadn't touched alcohol in over a year, but it was New Year's. One glass, I told myself. That one turned into 5. Lucas was clearly upset. I brushed him off. It's New Year's. I slurred, trying to downplay his concern. I ended up sitting between him and Ethan. The rest is a blur. I woke the next morning in an empty house. Lucas was gone. Everything gone. I called him. No answer. I reread his note over and over, trying to comprehend what had happened. Still in a daze, I messaged Ethan and asked to meet. We sat down at a cafe, and he filled in the blanks. Lucas had tried to stop me from drinking more that night. I resisted. We argued loudly. At midnight, I toasted with Ethan, hugged him tightly, and then kissed him again. This time it wasn't hidden. Lucas saw. He left. I sat frozen, tears streaming down my face. I had destroyed the one relationship that had weathered every storm, all for a fleeting moment of weakness and a wound I had never truly addressed. Now, months later, I live alone in a quiet apartment with bare walls. No photos, too much silence. Lucas hasn't contacted me, and I don't think he ever will. I'm sober again, but now the emptiness I feel isn't just from cutting out the alcohol. It's from losing the one person who stood beside me when no one else did. Trust is delicate. Sometimes, it's not the betrayal itself that ends a relationship. It's the secrets, the emotional distance, and the reckless choices we excuse in moments of pain. If someone chooses to love you at your lowest, don't give them a reason to doubt you at your peak.